Hello, welcome to Grace Conversations. We have a very special treat today. We have an amazing guest here. She's been a friend of mine for so many years, since I can remember. I mean, I've been in Salt Lake for 20 years, so I'm sure I met you shortly after I arrived here. And she is actually my speaking coach. So we are very privileged, very blessed to have as our special guest Jan Manger.
Yeah.
Seeing it's live today. Let's give her a hand of applause.
Thank you, Bonnie. You know how to put somebody on the spot. Now I have to be perfect.
Oh, not perfect. Just be your genuine self, because that is perfect.
That's true.
Yeah.
I liked what you were talking about earlier. I've had the privilege of listening into some of her other performances, or what would you call them, speaking engagements that she's had, and she's already uplifted me so much today, and I hope I don't get too emotional about it because you're my teacher, so thank you.
We're all teaching one another, aren't we? We're all teaching one another.
And I'm just so proud of you because you're really doing it. You're not just talking about doing it, you're getting out here with the radio, you're getting out here with YouTube presentations. She has like 5 or 6 books and a couple of CDs. I mean, you're doing it. You're doing your work. You're out there. So many of us have stayed in our little shell. We were talking about this earlier with Mira, how it's so easy for us to just stay in our shell. I mean, a lot of us have gotten tons of education and skills under our belt, but what are we doing with it? And now it's time to take it to the next level, to take it out there, and you're leading the bandwagon right now. So we're so grateful to you that you're doing this for the community.
Thank you, Jan. And you know, I'm doing my part. But like you're my coach, my speaking coach. So you've been leading me, and we're all leading one another.
Yeah, I like what you say. I guess it's a Wayne Dyer speech about we're all walking each other home. That's so beautiful because it means nobody's above or behind anyone else. Mm-hmm. We're all just sharing with our gifts, and we're all just encouraging one another. We have a profound community here. She just interviewed Yogi Tenzin. He's a yogi here locally, and I've taken his classes, and he didn't bring this up in the interview, but I would like to share this. One of the questions was, how else does yoga assist you? And his particular kind of yoga is very breath work oriented and mudras, and it bypasses your brain. What I loved about what he did, when I first got introduced to him, I had broken ribs, and the sound medicine and the mantras and the mudras and the breath work healed my ribs. So I am a huge fan of his work. It's very, very profound. We have beautiful Mira coming up next, and she's such a great contribution to our community. It's really amazing how many wonderful healers and teachers and spiritual leaders that we have right here in Salt Lake City.
Absolutely, and I just feel like, my goodness, they're my friends. I always say I must be a little bit of okay. I've got friends like Mira and Jan Manger and Britt here and Phil, because we are surrounded by some very powerful leaders. I would say world leaders. I mean, when I see you, what you're up to, Jan, Mira, Phil, Britt, this is not just going to stay in Salt Lake City, and we're here to shine our light. We're here to walk out. I'm glad you told me it was Wayne Dyer. I don't know, I heard it somewhere, walking each other home, and it stuck with me. But I added, walking each other home, side by side, hand in hand. Because we are, I love the story of heaven, when they go down to hell and they all got these big spoons, but everyone's trying to feed themselves, and they're starving because they can't get the spoon to fit in their mouths because it's those long-handled spoons. Then they go up to heaven. It's the same scene, and everything's the same. The only difference is they're feeding one another. And that's what we're doing, is we're supporting one another in our gifts and our contributions to the world, and we are transforming into a cooperative world. It's the old paradigm of competition, and we're separate, and each man for themselves is it's just an old paradigm that was never really true. We were never competing against one another anyways. We've always been unified in this unified, force field of love, that something that connects us all. And so it has been about cooperation. And when we can cooperate together, that is the way we will, I believe, will expand up into the next evolutionary level, is through cooperating as a human race.
That is correct. I'm so happy that you brought that up, and we do have a very special community here in Salt Lake City where it has, I think, transcended the competition level, and we are doing more of the cooperation. We just had a beautiful one of our friends come in, and he brings so much light to our community and joy and bubbles. Gary, thank you for showing up. This is a radio show, so you don't have to worry about your hair. Thank you again for helping bring the community together with the camp out that you had last weekend. That was so much fun up in the mountains. We have such beautiful mountains in our backyard. We're so blessed to have these beautiful Wasatch Mountains that we could just go up and have a picnic or camp, and there's a gazillion places to hike. We're super blessed with that, and thank you so much for organizing that. I'd also like to talk a little bit about your Awakening Miracles. Bonnie has a nonprofit, and she's selected my favorite charity, which is Buffalo Blessings this year, which helps the elders of the Hopi and the Navajo community. What happens, a lot of times they just get the leftovers of what contributions go to the tribes. But we have a very special friend, Anna Bennett. I think you interviewed her, didn't you?
Yeah.
And she kind of bypasses, we're a lot of rebels in our community, bypasses the rules and takes wonderful blankets and rice and beans to the elders of the Hopi and Navajo community, which specifically the Hopi, they were given a prophecy that as long as they stay simple and don't have running water and electricity, that they will be preserved, their land will be preserved. That's why they live so simply. And that's, I'm so honored and grateful that you chose that particular charity to support this year.
Well, this is a beautiful example of cooperation, because Center for Awakening, it was actually about a year and a half ago when we actually first found out about Buffalo Blessings. We put it out on Facebook if anyone had some suggestions. And Jan, you suggested Buffalo Blessings. So we donated to them a year and a half ago. And then we were again looking for a current project for this. The 7 week through June and July 2016 has been a fundraiser. We have a donation basket out on the kitchen table if anybody wants to just put in a little bit of that. All will go to Buffalo Blessings. It's a 501c3 federally recognized, and Anna Bennett brings food, supplies up to those 2 reservations in the fall. And the whole cooperative model is that, again, we were at Toastmasters, and I said we were at the point where we were trying to choose, and you said, well, what about the Buffalo Blessings? And so you're thanking me and I'm thanking you, because it was a cooperative effort. I immediately added that. We had 3 or 4 charities we were considering, and it was unanimous that the Buffalo Blessings we'd supply. And it was amazing, because one of the reasons we really went with the Buffalo Blessings is, number one, they're doing immense work. It's an incredible nonprofit, and we look into the nonprofits before we go. We want to make sure that there's not, huge salaries to the top people where they're putting their kids through a private school, and our little tiny, we're just a small nonprofit, and so we're just a drop in the bucket, and we want to make sure that it's actually going to the need that they're advertising. And with Anna Bennett and the Buffalo Blessings, 100% of all the money goes directly to. Anna does not take a salary, no salaries in that. And Center for Awakening is the same. We have no salaries. So that was one of the things. And when we donated to them last year, when you had said last year, they sent us the nicest thank you note. I mean, Anna sent us the nicest thank you note. It really makes a difference. So if someone does contribute to you and you send a thank you note, it is really does make a difference to the person. Not that we need it, and a lot of times we don't get letters, but that was really impressed me. And so when it came up again this year, we just remembered all that, and thanks to your suggestion, we're having Buffalo Blessings as our project.
Tell them the little story that was in the thank you note.
I don't remember.
The
You
story
tell.
you told me,
Please do
you
tell.
reminded me
Okay.
that it was that she was basically praying. They didn't have enough funds to provide their contribution, and she was praying for a way, and your nonprofit stepped forward with the contributions that they needed. So
Well, and
this
we-
is how it's working
Yeah.
now, and I want to see more of this, and maybe we can talk about this if we have a few more minutes about the synchronicities that are happening. I think that's part of the flow. When these synchronicities start happening, then we know we're in the flow. I'll give you just one example, and I know you probably have a lot. I have recently read Crystal's book, Crystal Doty, What Would the Angels Do? And she was on one of your shows. And I took her class, and then another one of our friends who's part of this group, I don't know if you've interviewed Lavon, but she's fabulous. She wanted to get one of the books for another friend where she had just been down at a retreat and she just missed Crystal. So she bought the book from the Lotus. I said, just give me the book, I'll have Crystal sign it, because I'm seeing Crystal on Monday, and then I'm seeing Debbie, the one that the book was for, who lives down in Teasdale, which is central Utah, on the next day, because I was going to the Dalai Lama the next day. So this is when I know my life is working, when everything happens like that, this beautiful flow, this synchronicity, this ease and grace. That's what I'd like to have more of.
Oh yeah, and I think it's happening, that flow, that synchronicity, even in those times when it doesn't appear so. That's when we dip into our faith, because I believe the universe is always synchronistically orchestrating in divine perfection, and sometimes it really doesn't look that way. But I think if we kind of, what's been really helpful for me, I don't know if you've done this process, but it seems like this point in my life has been kind of a turning point these last maybe year. And one of the things I've been doing is looking back at my past and reviewing, like almost like a soul retrieval, I would say, is all those parts of me that I thought I did it wrong, or I thought I was on the wrong track, or I thought I really messed up, or I just didn't feel in alignment, or I had some hard lessons, or I was struggling with some depression, or whatever I was struggling with. I've kind of gone back to all those places and all those parts of me, and just really kind of embraced them in me, back into me, and like looked at them from where I am now, rather than from where I was then. And you make up a lot of stories, you start to make, some stories up about yourself or about life, and it's like I look back and now I'm like, wow, everything it was like pieces of the puzzle. Even those pieces of the puzzle that were a little dark, were a little sketchy looking or whatever. I mean, they're coming together to actually bring me to exactly where I am now. And if any of those pieces hadn't been exactly the way they were, I may not be exactly where I am now. And so I've kind of embraced them with love now, and seen that insecure little girl, or that insecure teenager, or that frightened person, and bringing it back and embracing it into myself, and seeing the synchronicity of my past from where I am now. So sometimes when you're right in the middle, you can't see, and all the people I've met along the way, and how some people are coming back to me now. You're like, wow, we met like 20 years ago, and now how perfect that they'd be in my life now, and we would fit to do what we need to do.
Yeah, it's been a profound year. The fact that we had the Parliament of World Religions last fall, that was really, really profound, and I was on a super high on that, and then I had some family stuff during the winter that kind of took me down, and then we rose back up with the Maharishi that Mira brought in about a month or 6 weeks ago, and I rose back up, and then I've had a couple of nose dives in between. But thank you for reminding me, and it's so good. I just want to honor you again, because you show us that vulnerable little girl, and or if for men, the vulnerable young boy or whatever. And I think that that's very brave of you, and we all have it within us, and sometimes spiritual leaders don't show us that piece. And I think that's beautiful that you're brave enough to show us your vulnerabilities, because then we know if you can do it, we can do it too. She's overcome it, we can do it too.
Well,
So
if I can do it, anybody can do it.
That's what-
Painfully shy, deeply insecure little girl.
that's yeah.
Nobody was as painfully shy and insecure
We didn't
as
even
me,
know
I don't
that
think.
about you, though. We didn't know that about you until you shared that. So again, thank you again for all your contributions to our community, and how you have shown us that if you can do it, we can do it too. Thank you. I'm honored.
Thank you, Jan, and thank you for your immense contribution to my life and to the life of so many people in this world. You are a powerful, brilliant human being and leader, and I love and adore you.
As I do with you. Namaste.
Namaste.